Hey everybody, welcome into another edition of Make Every Second Count Live. Now I am your host, Jeff Marconette Jr., and award-winning international Make Every Second Count speaker. I was in a severe car accident when I was 17 years old. I spent 3.5 in the hospital and 2.5 in a coma. And I have what I would call a perfect life now. But you see, a lot of people put on social media things like they have a perfect life. But I am here to show you that each person goes through something. They all have to grow through something in order to get to where they want to be. So tonight I have invited Chad Gaines on here, and he is going to tell you how you can learn from his deadly secrets. Now I ask you, if you're watching live, please tell us where you're from in the comment. If you're watching the replay, put a hashtag replay. And please share this out. Invite people to watch this because you never know whose life we're going to be able to save with this message. So, with no further ado, I would like to bring Chad Gaines to the stage. Hey, Chad.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Jeff. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me on the show
Oh,
to
I
share a little bit
appreciate it.
about my story.
I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy evening to be here with me, my viewers, to help other people out. So, at this time, I would ask if you would go through a short introduction. Tell everybody who you are, where you're from, what you do, and why you do what you do.
Sure. Well, first of all, my name is Chad Gaines. I live here in San Francisco, California. I'm the author of the new book, Who Am I, based on my life. What I do is I work around the country through social media as well as on stage to try to bring people together, especially at a time uh, with everything going on in the world. We just need to come together in so many different areas. Also, hearing your story, a little bit about your story, I can really relate to a lot of things, and I'm so happy to share a few of those things here today with your audience.
Well, I definitely appreciate it, and I know the people out there do. But I would like to say hi to um, Nita Bashir from Oklahoma. She's watching with us. We have Greg Dillon. Now, I do not know where he's from. And we have
Greg?
Aunt Jean Miller. So we're happy you guys are watching with us. And I am going to go ahead and invite some other people to watch this show. But if you would like to go ahead and explain to people that yes, you might have your life all together now. You might have things that are happening for you. You might be living your dreams. And that's what we see a lot on social media. But have you had to go through anything to reach where you are today?
Absolutely. Um, I've been given more than a second chance in life, um, probably more than I deserve in so many different areas of my life. A little background quickly, I'll rush right through this so the listeners can put in perspective of a little bit of what I've been through and where I am now with things. I grew up in the early 1970s in a little town right outside of Indiana, Illinois border. And I was the only child. Suffered some incredible physical child abuse from my mother um, that led to my father leaving when I was 6 years old. And throughout those destructive years of my young life getting abused, I turned to alcohol and drugs at an early age, 13, 14 years old. Um,
Wow.
Hardcore drugs. I mean, I went right into cocaine and heroin, experienced that at 14 years old.
Wow.
We moved from our little farm town. I came home from middle school one day, and there was a Ryder truck backed up to our front door. And my mother instructed me, just take whatever you can grab, put it on the truck. We had no boxes, nothing. We have to get out of here. I didn't really realize at the time why, because I was, just entering middle school, way behind everybody else because I had missed so much school due to child abuse. In the first grade, I missed 47 days. So I failed 4 times before I got to the fifth grade.
Wow.
So I was way behind everybody else. I was on a huge growth spurt because I'm very tall. And I experienced that. So we drove off that day with a lot of unanswered questions. We ended up in the middle of Florida, and my mother said, "This is where we're going to start our new life." And what I didn't realize then was this Child Protective Services was investigating my mother for child abuse, one of the worst cases in that area at the time. And I went through some just incredible. Started out with simple backhands to humiliation to being spit on to having things thrown at me, embarrassed in front of my friends and my family every day. There wasn't a day that I can remember up until the age of 14. It's about 15 actually, that my mother said that she was going to kill me. Every single day, it was like a routine. It was like getting up in the morning, eating a bowl of cereal back then. Routine. I'm going to kill you, and there's no way you're going to get out of this. And by the time I turned 15, like I said before, I went on that growth spurt, and my mother said, "Well, you're just too big, basically, to beat on anymore." So she threw me out in the streets, and that's when I began a long history of drugs and alcohol. Dropped out of school in the ninth grade in Florida, and really got addicted to, like I said, cocaine, heroin. Had $1,000 a week drug habit at 15 years old, and couldn't even get a job. So it just spiraled completely out of control for me, to the point where I was taking drugs from one area and selling them to another neighborhood. Ended up getting shot 3 times in the face. Lost all my teeth on the bottom, and it just really woke me up. And I knew I had to get out of that lifestyle. And the only thing that I could think of is, now I'm getting ready to turn 16 years old at the time, was I needed to go back to that little farm town where there wasn't a lot of those things and those type of people, and maybe I could just get my life together.
That is crazy. Now, you went through a lot, man. That is really shocking to me. But how can all right, describe your recovery from getting shot.
It was a little over 3 months in the hospital, where I was still getting um, vicious threats that they were going to come to the hospital. Um, and my uncle was a truck driver, luckily for me at the time. And it was as simple as I got out of the hospital and went on the truck with him, so to speak, and just disappeared in the middle of the night to get away from that lifestyle that that really took my teenage years life away from me. My teenage years, just full of addiction and hate and anger and frustration of the humiliation and the child abuse that I went through, and didn't know what I was going to do next. Uh, I failed in school. I didn't have an education at the time, so I wasn't really confident on my job skills at the time. I didn't have nobody knocking on my door offering me a job, so to speak. Um, but that's where my journey really began. That was just 2% of my story that I just shared with you and others. Um,
Yeah, wow.
what happened next was really a great thing. I did get clean. I did get away from those things, but
How did
uh,
you get clean?
that's a very good question. I got picked up and sent to prison. And that was, for me, that was the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. I got clean. I went to prison for organized crime or gang activity because I was meddling in those things again, eventually in the Chicago area, Indiana area. And it just caught up with me. But it saved my life. It saved my life. I met people in there um, that didn't fit there. We're highly educated people. We're just from the Air Force and the Navy, and just seen more in me than I seen in myself at the time.
That's one thing that I have realized about prison, that it can be terrible. It can be of the worst humans on the planet, but it can also trap the good people, the people that just didn't fare the same way you and I did. They didn't have the same education. They didn't have the same upbringing, and they don't deserve to be there. A lot of them. Sorry. Oh, I'm holding it in. Sorry, I thought I was going to sneeze. But so I think prison is filled with a lot, and I'm not saying all, but I'm saying a lot of people that made one bad decision.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that is also what is big in life. That's what I try to help people see, that they can make the right decisions. They can make decisions that are going to be good for their future. They don't have to make that one bad decision. And that's all life is about, decisions. But
Absolutely.
you have two roads on each decision, or with each decision. You can either go the right way or the wrong way. And would you say that you went the wrong way
I did up until that point.
up until that
Uh,
point? There's a good lesson in that right there. See, people can go the right or the wrong way, but they don't have to stay on that wrong way. They
that
can
is true.
always turn around. They can always turn at the next corner. They don't have to keep going that wrong way. They can find the better way to go with their life. And
That is a very good point, because years later, I would work with a youth group at a church, and we would have um, a group that we would call U Turn, because you can turn your life around. So that's a good, very good point. Very good
yes,
point.
I've worked with kids and adults from all over the world. In fact, you can see that banner right there. That's from my Live Your Best Life Nairobi event. So that was in Kenya. But
Wow, nice. Very
I
nice.
have noticed that a lot of kids, a lot of young adults, a lot of adolescents, however you want to say it, are facing decisions in their life, and they have that right decision, they have that wrong decision, and many of them take the wrong decision and think they're stuck,
Mhm.
but they don't realize that they can turn around. So how can you get that point across? How can we as people get that point across, even to the viewers out there right now, that you can change your life, that you don't have to remain the same?
Well, for me, this happened in 2000 when I was released from prison, and I think for me, thinking back to that point, it was just about being accountable, taking accountability for the things that I did, for the things I was involved with, for the people that led me this way. Because out of the group, I was the oldest, so they're going to punish the oldest one. And when I went in there, it was just a time to reflect on being my best friend. And
Yeah.
I've never been good at that. And I'm still not good at that. I still have trouble with being my best friend. But for me, it was just about being accountable and wanting to change, and then seeking out the resources on what I needed to do to change, to talk different, to dress different, to hang out with different people, to start reading books. All those things I never did in my entire life. So when I get out of prison, that was the first thing that I wanted to do. But I also wanted to do the most important thing that I ever did in my life. And that was to start sharing my story with
Yeah.
people wherever I could, with middle schools, high schools, colleges, churches, wherever I could be an influence, I was willing to do it.
Yeah.
And that just took me to a whole nother level on my speaking and my different roles that I played the character as the good guy, bad guy,
Well,
and
you went down that right road.
it wasn't as easy as people think it is. As people like you said, show on social media. It's
Yeah.
not that easy. It's
No.
not that easy because
What
we
what
all got
people
those
show on
demons.
social media is like the biggest downfall to other people's psyches, because
Right.
they only show the highlights. They only show the good things. They only show the awesome and amazing things. But people don't realize when they're showing that stuff that they're going through this other stuff. They just hide it better than you, or uh, the person who's only seeing the good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's the same with everybody. Everybody goes through things. It's not a matter of if you're going through it. It's only a matter of when you are going through it. So I
Absolutely.
I
Good point.
happen to know that you have written a book,
I have.
and I have seen the trailer for this book, and this book looks really, really, really good and sounds amazing. So, can you tell us a little bit about that book?
The basis of the book is based on my life story. Um, the whole story. I was 28 years old when my mother killed my stepfather, which shocks a lot of people. Um, but that is true. And that's one of the things that I talk about. Me being on the road at the time, winning national awards to be this speaker, sharing my story. And then I get home. And then after years of not talking to my mother, I get a phone call and she says, I think I just killed your stepfather. Um, so that was a big turning point. Again, uh, how do I handle this? What do I do? So I thought the best way that I could do this as an outlet is to write a book. And I wrote the book, and not only did it get so much press, but I also had a Hollywood writer, Stevie Long from Universal Pictures. He wrote the screenplay, and they're turning the book into a movie.
Woo! So you have got to come back on here on this show
Sure, anytime,
once that
anytime.
movie comes out, or it gets ready to come out. That's going to be pretty darn amazing. I'm so happy they did this. But when does the book come out?
The book will be out late next month.
All right.
You can actually order it now. It'll be shipped next month. I sign all the copies that are ordered from my website because I have
Um,
access to those.
what's your website?
My website is gainschad.com. You can go there.
Gamechad.com.
You can actually see the upcoming movie trailer on there. You can see some pictures, a little bit about my history, and then you can click on the link and put the book right in the cart and order it. Simple as
That
that.
that is pretty amazing. And you sign every copy, huh?
Yes, sir. I do.
Uh,
Everyone that comes from that website because I have access to those.
All right. That's awesome, man. And how much is the book?
Right now it's $16. I've
All
lowered
right.
the price. It's free shipping.
$16. Hang on, sorry, I'm putting this in the comments and I don't type the fastest.
Okay,
$15 free shipping. Alright, gameschad.com. Alright, there we go. I got that in the comments on YouTube. So
okay,
I'll put it up there on the screen. The book, $16 free shipping, and you can get your own autographed copy at gainschad.com. That is GAINESCHAD.com.
that's correct.
Is there any final words, any final tips for these people out here that might be dealing with something?
Well, I think now, I mean, it's a lot different than when I grew up in the late '70s, early '80s as a young boy and a teenager. Now we have so many options. People are hurting all over the world right now. Um, because of so many different things. And I won't get into all that, everything. There's so many things going on in the world right now. You can use, and a lot of people use this for a bad thing, but you can use it for a good thing. You can use social media, just reach out, talk about your problems. There's so many resources out there. Just openly talk about it. Even a stranger will get back to you if you post something on Facebook
Yeah.
that you're upset. I mean, there's people out there that love you that don't even know you. That's what inspired my life to keep not just giving, but to speaking and to go on these podcasts and these stages around the country. Um, just open your heart and reach out. We have the resources there. Just talk about whatever is on your mind, what is going on. That's the
Great
most important
advice.
thing.
Great advice. I love that. Now, guys, I need to remind you that I am here every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, with a new guest trying to help you live your best life because I know it is possible. I am living my best life right now, and Chad is probably living his best life right now. But I just want to tell you guys that each and every one of you, including you, Chad, need to do me a favor this week and for the rest of your life. You need to make every second count. Why? Because you never know when the seconds are going to run out on your one life. Hey, I'll see you guys back here next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you so much again, Chad. And don't forget to get his book, guys. Have a great night.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yep.